All right, hey everybody, it's Chris and Kenny here. Sorry, first off, because I haven't been doing these videos as frequently as I said I would. Peanut, if you hear someone growling, we have a little dog in the background. Today what we're going to do is we're going to talk about testosterone. You know, it gets a lot of negative press, but the reality is it's a very important hormone for men and women. It really is your repair hormone. All right, so when you're thinking about how testosterone works in the body, when you exercise, if you don't have testosterone, your body really isn't going to recover as well. And so one of the things that, at least I hear from my patients, is this. I don't recover from my workouts. I'm not getting any stronger. I don't know what's going on. Everything used to be better when I was younger. I mean, you probably hear that a lot too. You know, when I was a kid, I used to be able to get away with everything. I used to be able to eat whatever I wanted to. But the reality is it just doesn't quite work that way as our testosterone levels start to decrease. Our dogs are arguing with each other right now. The testosterone will go into the cell, and what it does is it triggers healing, basically. So it's going to take the damage that you do while you work out, and it's going to grab the amino acids and what Kenny likes to talk about is nutritious blood, as we're eating ribeyes and asparagus right now. You get nutritious blood, and so you have these particles of protein, and the cell is going to put those particles together, and it's going to repair your muscle tissue. And this happens while you sleep, after you work out. So the idea of having testosterone just all of a sudden pumped into your body, and you're going to go ahead and grow up big muscles like Arnold Schwarzenegger is not going to happen. Correct?
Yeah.
Okay. You have to have the stimulus. You have to do the right thing first.
I think that's something that people don't understand is working out is strictly breaking down muscle fibers. It's not, while you're lifting, you're not getting bigger, you're not getting stronger, you're actually damaging muscle tissue, but for a good purpose, for the fact of, like he said, with the nutritious blood. In the gym, you're damaging muscle tissue. Hopefully you're eating the right foods. The testosterone can help transport nutrition to aid in recovery. So now the broken down muscle fibers are being repaired, and they will adapt to be stronger than they were if you're training hard enough to tell your body that it's inadequate, basically.
Okay. And to that point, adaptation requires stimulus. Okay. And maybe we'll cover this in a different time, but the gist is you can do what you can already do. So if you're going to sit there and do a plank for a little while and you're already good at doing planks, don't expect to get big muscles doing something that you're already good at doing. You have to push yourself a little bit. All right, so now back to testosterone. You know, and there's a buzzword out there called bioidentical. And is it important for something to be bioidentical? Absolutely, because it's a lock and key mechanism. So you have a receptor, and then you have your hormone. Now, no matter what hormone it is, you want it to fit lock and key style. And so bioidentical simply means it's the key that's designed for that lock. We throw that term around a lot, but I have different forms of testosterone that fit the receptor. Different forms of estrogen fit the receptor. Different forms of progesterone fit the receptor. Where we start to run into trouble is if you get like equine hormones and stuff like that. Not a good idea. Definitely talk to your practitioner, and you just tell them you want the hormone that's designed for you. All right. Now the next question: how would you know if you have low testosterone? Well, I mean, the easiest way is to go get tested. You know, you meet your doctor if they're willing, or your practitioner if they're willing, and you're like, hey, can I have a testosterone test? And whether they're educated enough to know what a good testosterone level or not is, that really kind of depends on their education and their philosophies, for that matter. So say you decide that you want a testosterone test because you're not building muscle, you're not recovering, you don't have any sex drive, you're having erectile dysfunction. Or if you're a female, you have low libido, and you're also having the same symptoms. You're getting fatter, and you try really hard, but you're not getting anywhere with your exercise.
You're sleeping as well.
Yeah, you're not sleeping well, or you're spent at the end of the day. Some of my patients come in and they're like, look, Chris, I don't really want to be a big muscular guy. I just want the energy to play with my kids. And that's a good reason to want your testosterone, because this is basic quality of life. So first step, get tested. Sometimes I do test people and they have very good testosterone levels. It means there's something else going on in their life, but you at least can rule that out. We'll put it like that. When you have good testosterone, and once again, assuming that everything else is in order, it's not like a drug, okay? In so much that you're going to have this euphoric feeling from testosterone, like, oh, I did my shot of testosterone, I feel like I'm going to conquer the world.
That's something I think what you're saying, and also that people are afraid to feel something from it.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like they think that it's like a drug, and you're going to feel something negative from it. I'm going to feel enraged. I'm going to feel super hot. I'm going to feel, but it's like it doesn't manifest itself that way. You just feel the way that you were meant to feel because it was in us in the first place, and now we have inadequate levels. It brings you back to normal. You start to feel like you used to.
Absolutely, I agree. And and so one of the examples I like to give is that when your testosterone is where it's supposed to be, you wake up in the morning and say you had your good 7-8 hours of sleep. And it's a big one for me. I want 7-8 hours of sleep. If you're sleeping 5 hours of sleep at night, I don't care how much testosterone I put in you, you're still going to struggle, especially if you're training hard. But when your eyes open up in the morning, you're like, oh, I got to face the world. I hate my life. I don't have any energy. So when you have good testosterone, the difference is that when you go to get out of bed in the morning, your eyes pop open. You're like, yeah, all right, I'm going to go ahead and start my day. Yeah. And whether it's going to work or whether working out or eating breakfast, you just you're like, cool, I'm going to get up and do it. And you don't understand that until one, you've not had the testosterone in play, and two, you get it back, and then you know exactly what I'm talking about. Once again, male or female, doesn't matter. It's an important hormone for everybody. The other benefits are going to be that, contrary to popular belief, you're not going to just go out there and roid rage. It is an amplifier, so I say this and I mean this. If at your core personality you are an asshole, you are going to continue to be an asshole. If you are a nice, well-balanced person, it is actually going to make you better.
Yeah.
The reason is because you feel good. And when you feel good, you want other people to feel good. And you're less likely to be grumpy and frustrated. And it's when you're sick. Do you really want to put up with stuff when you're sick? The answer is no. So to that point, testosterone is an amplifier. Libido is a real deal. Look, having a healthy sex drive, let me say it again, having a healthy sex drive is a normal thing. Losing your sex drive as you get older is not normal. It is not supposed to be that way. It's not just normal aging.
It's not something that we should just accept.
Right.
I think that's something that people, you get to a certain age, it's just the way it goes. And it's like, it doesn't have to. You don't have to just submit to death.
Right, exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, so if it's you or if it's your wife or if it's your husband and your husband doesn't have a libido and you do, get checked. It may be something that's not that it's not that hard to fix, all right? And then just the obvious balance or the obvious benefit of you're going to look better. So, there is that. The question, how long is it going to take me to feel good? Well, the reality is there is a balance period when you're dealing with hormones. I can tell you pretty much for guys, it's going to look like this, all right? And this is assuming you're being dosed appropriately. If you have a physician that's giving you a shot once every 2, 3, or 4 weeks, they're doing it wrong. I will stand by that till the end of my days because you don't want your levels to go that high and that low.
Just crash.
Yeah, the more frequency of the shots, the more you narrow that range between your highs and your lows, and you want to be consistent. So the problems I'm going to run into with testosterone are going to be estrogen conversion, DHT. I feel like, I'm way up here, I feel good. Or I get really, really, really low, and then I feel bad. And so the body doesn't know what's coming or going at that point. And so you're more likely to break out. You're more likely to have the acne effects. So over time, you're going to balance out, and you're going to go a little bit higher in the first couple months. And then at that 60-day marker, your testosterone levels are going to balance, assuming you're doing the right thing. Skipping your doses is not the right thing. Skipping weeks is not the right thing. Taking a month off every once in a while is not the right thing because you've got to build back up. Your body has to adapt, and those receptors have to adapt again too. Now, when we're talking about progesterone or we're talking about estrogen, 3 months. For real, 3 months. So, I took my progesterone and my estrogen yesterday, and I don't feel better. Don't ever tell that to anybody. You need to give it time, and you need to be consistent, and you need to do the right thing. It's just like eating one good meal a week isn't going to do anything for you either. Yeah, it needs to be something you do all the time, right? And so, in those of us that are successful, those of them that are successful, know that a little bit better. Now, men, when you're dosed with testosterone, the way I say it, you're probably going to start feeling it around the 3-week mark. At the end of a month, you're going to feel pretty good. At the end of 2 months, you're going to feel damn good. Women, You aren't that easy. It's probably going to take us a couple months to get you feeling good, but we work with a much lower amount of hormone for you guys specifically because you're less amenable to the side effects. You don't want the acne, you don't want the random hair growing where a guy is going to be like, look, I got erections again and I got a sex drive, I don't care if I get a pimple or if I get
build
some
muscle,
random
feel
hair
good, have
going
energy.
anywhere. Yeah, we're less likely to worry about something like that just because of our nature. So, last minute thoughts?
Did you cover everything?
I think I did. I mean, if there's obviously, if you have any questions, put them in the comments. I'm happy to get after it. As always, I don't want to talk to you guys about dosing on the forums or in a chat box. That's a very personal decision. And the reality is that just the two of us require big different doses just in order to respond to anything. Like everything works on me at a small dose. Certain people require different doses. Like small amounts of pretty much any medication work well on me. You give me 25 milligrams of Benadryl, I'm going to be in the corner sleeping for a week. All right. Where my wife, I could throw all sorts of medication at and nothing works on her. Like she requires massive doses in order to get a similar effect of somebody else. So when we're talking about doses, it's very individual. I mean, there are some constants out there, like a minimum effect. Like I'm going to tell you right now, if you're getting like 50 milligrams of testosterone once every 2 weeks, you're throwing pixie dust on yourself. And as a matter of fact, you're probably going to suppress yourself more than anything else. So to that point, I'll close on this. The testosterone that you receive exogenously, or that means outside of what the body makes normal, is not cumulative with what your body produces. When you receive testosterone outside, you are going to suppress your natural levels. So you don't just take a starting level of 300 and I want enough to add my 300 to get myself up to 400 or 500. You need to dose for 500. Okay, so just as a random example, it's not the way we dose or anything like that, but I just want to put it out there. Your natural production will be suppressed when you take exogenous testosterone, unless we're throwing in the HCG. All right.
I think something to say about natural levels. The guy in the meeting that we had the other day asked, does artificial or exogenous testosterone decrease your natural testosterone production? The answer is yes. But when you hear that, it sounds like a negative thing, but it's your natural levels, obviously, if you're looking into supplementing testosterone, are subpar. So you're taking in something that is much stronger than what your body's producing, so it suppresses it because it doesn't need it anymore. Your body recognizes that there's this massive influx coming in that it could never supply, so it just turns itself off.
Yep.
But with good reason, because you have ample amounts coming in now. It doesn't need to. It takes, it relaxes. The testicles are basically a muscle that produces testosterone, and when they're not needed anymore, they switch off, they atrophy, and it's not a problem. It's not a bad thing.
No, not necessarily. And also, it opens up a whole new can of worms, really. It's the idea of, natural versus unnatural levels. I'm like, look, just to put it out there, because everyone's worried about what's natural or not. Those clothes aren't natural on your body. That car's not natural that you drive. These fluorescent lights over your head aren't natural. The chemicals that you're exposed to in your food aren't natural.
This is more natural, if anything.
Exactly.
It was already in your system. What about the Tylenol that people take without batting an eye at? What about the ibuprofen, the somas, the muscle relaxers, any prescription drug that they give you that is actually poison?
Oh yeah, they're way more harmful than testosterone by far.
There's no question, but nobody cares about it because it's what they've been told is perfectly normal and acceptable.
Right, and to that point too. Look, we're here to pass on 2 strands of DNA. All right, considering that you can make babies while you're teenagers, your body has won its fight because your job is to pass on your DNA. So if you make it to 40, 45, 50, however, we're going against nature anyways at that point. We still exist, and so this is your life. You deserve a say in how you decide to live your life. And if you're going to take hormones and you have the informed consent, meaning that you understand the ins and outs, the pros and the cons, you deserve the right to have a say in how you feel every day. And I'm going to tell you right now that when your hormones are balanced, your quality of life is significantly improved. Okay? And Liz is even, nodding her head. You talk to someone who wants to keep things all natural, and then you put them through menopause, and you see how quickly they feel about that, or whether they're going to change what they're doing. So anyways, I'm going to finish this steak. If you guys have any questions, like I said, put them in the comments, and then we'll talk to you next time.